In a super flex, you're saying what? Hey, Mike?
In a super flex startup, we'll say 14 teams for the sake of fun. You have.
Is that fun? 14. Okay.
I think I'm in one, and it's actually a lot of fun. You have the 101, super flex, PPR, bells and whistles, all of that. One word answers, everyone. Who do you take with 101, starting with you, Andy?
Barkley.
Brian.
Saquon 01.
That was like a compound word number alphanumeric code. I don't know about that.
Kind of liked it.
I did too. I like
I love it. I'm really upset I didn't use that.
Hogue.
I was trying to figure out how many O's were in that.
It's Rodgers by far. Do I leave now? Like,
I mean, did you buy some vowels? Like, what happened? I said one word.
Yeah, it's you can't let me just say Aaron Rodgers and just leave it there. Like
especially with back-to-back Saquon picks. I mean,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So you going Rodgers, Hope?
Yeah, it's still Aaron Rodgers for me. Still the safest player with the highest ceiling in all of football.
Gabe.
I can't believe Saquon went twice as a 101 in a super. Like, that surprises me.
That's where we are, bro.
Yeah, I guess I'm unaware of the culture at this point in my dynasty life. Shout out to the Dynasty Life pod.
Hey.
I don't know. Like, why aren't we still doing the wide receiver thing? And if you know what, I'll match your Aaron Rodgers for funsies, and I'll say everybody's new boy, Patty Mahomes.
Yep,
Patty.
Yeah, he'll get there. I think.
I think he'll easily be a top 5 guy.
Yeah, I've got him number 2 right now. That's both QB2 and 2 overall, and. You know, this time next year, if he does anything close to what he did this year, then I'll have him at QB1. But yeah, for the moment, give me the guy who's been the QB1 overall, 5 times, and still has 3 or 4 years left in the tank.
Not that I disagree necessarily, but the reason I would go Mahomes over Rodgers is because everybody wants Mahomes. His value is just so much higher than Rodgers at this point. You could flip Mahomes for, I feel like, whatever you want in Superflex.
Yeah, and there's definitely that argument to be made. I'm going off of who do I want to start at quarterback for an entire year. So, but yeah, I mean, there's kind of 2 different things. There is that perceived value too, and trade value. And I'm not really looking to trade my first guy, so I want the guy with the most. The most upside and the safe upside for, as long as possible.
Yeah, to be clear, J Mike, I don't want to pick Mahomes at 1. Like, I just think he should go there. Like, I'd rather just have I'd trade back if I could. I don't want the 101. I hate that. I don't want it.
Yeah, true.
But wait. Let's unpack that for a moment.
No.
You why wouldn't you want 101?
I don't like to pick there. I don't want to wait in your 14 team league, J Mike. If we're doing this snake draft, I don't want to wait 26 picks to pick again. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Especially when I can get my guy probably at the end of the first round. It's going to be all running backs ahead of me. And I don't agree with that, but that's the way it's going to fall. So,
there might be a lot of QBs going between you, that 101 and then your second round pick too, I suppose. Like, that's typically where they start to fall. Like, a lot of them in a row is like end of the first, beginning of the second. They'll just kind of go off. So maybe you'll get some value at the end of the second. Maybe I'm wrong, J Mike.
You have, if you have 101, you have to go back-to-back QB at the 2-3 turn.
Oh,
And that was my question for you guys. That was my question for you guys who took Saquon at 101. Are you scared to death at who's gonna be there at quarterback on that 2-3 turn?
No.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay.
Because the thing is, not everyone's going to take a quarterback. There's going to be when guys like Gurley or any of the top end running backs, all those top end wide receivers, people are going to prefer to get one of those guys over a quarterback too. Because once the elite quarterback go, there'll be quarterbacks who fall. But you're screwed. You're kind of screwed if you gamble at the 2-3 turn and not take.
Right.
That's scary. Team. Yeah, and 14 team. Yeah, you kind of made it nasty with that one, J. Mike. I'll give you that. Okay, question for you, J. Mike. Why do you think that you can just start the show off with football?
It didn't feel right, but I felt like it had to be done. This is it's the second show of 2019, and the bar needed to open. Kicking down doors here.
Wow, you're all business now. You've created a cocktail menu. You brought in a few micro brews coming off of the tap. Probably got a food truck outside.
Shrimp tacos on deck. Let's go.
I was gonna say it better have tacos or I'm out.
Yeah. Tacos or we're done. Yeah, literally. Right. I was talking to the guys before we kicked off. I walked in the door from work. I didn't share this part with you guys. I walked in the door from work, literally warmed up a plate, taco night at my house. Hey, came in, saw that Tuesday. My wife, turn up. My wife had my youngest daughter on the couch. She had taken an extra long nap because she had been sick. I literally sat there, ate tacos with them for about 12 minutes, gave hugs, set it up, and here we are.
Wow.
It's like that.
I hope y'all are appreciating what this man does for this.
Yeah, seriously, that's intense.
Every Tuesday. Y'all think you can finish 3 tacos in 12 minutes? Come on.
Crushed.
Come on. Flour or corn? Flour or corn, J. Mike?
It was straight flour.
Oh, you're such a gringo, bro. Come on. I bet you've never been called that before.
There's no comeback from that. No,
you can't. No.
How do I bounce back from being called a gringo? All right, and that's our show. Log out.
And we're live on the open bar. It's Tuesday. It's 9:30 Eastern-ish. We would have been on time, but J. Mike had to eat tacos and Andy Fresh had to let the dogs out. So the answer of who has been answered that quickly. It was Andy.
It was me.
Fresh with 2 H's. Yeah, we're here, man. It's 2019. We're whatever. Playoffs have happened. The rookies are happening. We're about to hit some really dead time in the fantasy football world. J. Mike, are you prepared for the dead?
The dead what?
The dead time of like, what do we talk about kind of thing? Like
wait a second.
We're literally going to have to start talking about like our cocktail menu and our taco menu.
We've got to find a new name. And I feel like several podcasts have talked about this.
A new name for the podcast?
No, just listen. I feel like the guy from National, what was it? Christmas Vacation, talking to Grace about the blessing. The blessing. Just listen. I don't even remember what I'm saying now. Gosh.
You need a new name. We need a name.
No, we need a new name for the off season. Because technically in Dynasty, as I'm learning, it is never off. There's always something popping off. So what do you call the off season?
The non-scoring points season.
Kind of long but strong.
That's what we call it on a Trade Addicts pod. So
like that.
J Mike, I think we have to wait on this. We clearly don't have.
Yeah, Russ calls it. I see you in here, Russ, in the chat. 9-point scoring season. I like that.
It's true though. That is very much true. Well, we have 3 people on our show that have not been on our show before. I loosely introduced the first fella here. Andy Fresh with 2 H's. Just so fresh. A new East Coaster as well. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that information, but I just did. So how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. I've watched your show a bunch of times. It's freezing, so this weather sucks out here on the East Coast. I don't know how you guys do this year round, but I'm excited, man. My Patriots in our 3rd straight Super Bowl. We could dedicate the whole show to that if you want. Talk about the Patriots.
And on to our other guest.
You know, in my description for the show, I said that we were going to break down the last 15 years of the Patriots seasons.
I'm into it.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in just a second. And Brian Har with 2 R. We have a lot of double consonants happening. I mean, I'm sure that the last name isn't actually Fresh with 2 H. Maybe it is, but well, Frechette, like
Frechette.
You got 2 T's. 2 T's.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. We've got a double consonant type of night. I appreciate that. Brian Har, what's up, dude?
Hey, how are you guys? Glad to be here. Excited.
Yeah. Your microphone looks like a lightsaber.
Yeah, right? I can turn it around if it's too distracting, but I kind of like it. I don't know. It sets like an ambiance.
Like a light.
Yeah,
It is beautiful.
I like that. Happy to have you, man. I know you just did your cute little plug about the Trade Addicts pod, but would you like to share it again, or is that enough?
Yeah, sure. Well, I co-host the Trade Addicts pod with Dynasty Outhouse at Dynasty Outhouse on Twitter. And he's been on the show, I believe, once, twice, several times. Yeah, we have a lot of fun recording and putting our stuff out there. So check us out if you haven't already. But yeah, good stuff. Excited to be here. Really excited. Very honored. I feel very honored to be here. So.
Pleasure is all ours.
Exactly. All right, John Hogue. Rhymes with sport. That's all I could think of when I
source. It rhymes with source. Yeah. No, that was impressive.
That was impressive, he said.
Yeah, I always appreciate minimalist efforts when it comes to any kind of work. So yeah, I was good with that, man. And I was just happy to get my name on that intro. I didn't care how you did it. I was like, all right, I'll take it. Yeah.
It's like Addison. I can't switch up the first 4 bars, bro. Like, I made a music video. I got in jean shorts and a belly. Like, what? I can't just say another man's name with a belly shirt on like I had before.
We can't just recreate these moments. Like, you know
Happy to have you, though, brother.
John Hogue.
I was worried that you were just gonna change my name instead of changing the words at all. Just make it John Torch.
John Torch. And John Torch.
Yeah. So no, it's awesome to be here, guys. Like I said off air, this is how you know you made it, when you get in the bar and it's open and it's live. So yeah, this is awesome.
Can you believe that, J Mike? 2 people have said that. Andy's kind of a jerk, but 2 out of 3 people said that.
It doesn't really make sense.
No, not at all. Andy's kind of maybe the only intelligent one of the bunch.
Thank you for keeping it all the way real. We appreciate that, Andy.
That's what I'm here for.
The chat's already lit all the way up. Acknowledging the chat early today. Outhouse was first. He says, I think something is broken. It's 9:44 and the show isn't showing.
Damn it, Russ.
Such a turd.
He's not. Because we started it like, yeah, okay.
I deal with his literal shit every freaking week. So
literal. I mean,
well, I guess not literal.
Outhouse. Literal. No, yeah. We get it.
Jesse's in the building. What's up, Jesse? All the way from San Diego. Wishing you'd send that nice sunny weather our way here in the Midwest/East Coast. Aaron, what's up, Aaron? Aaron's in the building here. Svoboda is in the building. Steve K, what's up, Steve? Yeah, the Svoboda. So it looks like we're already excited about life. Oh, Coach Burke, Andrew Burke in the building from the Fantasy 40. What's up, man? Somebody was already talking trade in here, and I think this kind of harkens back to what we talked about. Aaron said he got A-Rob for Pettis this week. Did he get robbed, or is he the robber?
He got Allen Robinson for Dante Pettis.
Fact.
He's the robber.
I think so.
Indeed.
I think so. Again, I mean, y'all went back to back to Saquon with that 101, so I might be out of touch completely. I might, and that's like legitimately. I'm not even clowning. Like, I think he wins. I think he wins.
Yeah, for sure. Allen Robinson's headed for a huge bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
People are bailing way too early.
I agree.
There was just so much working against him. There were so many reasons to believe that wide receiver 35 was kind of the best he was going to do, and that's what he did. So, yeah, give him a full year in that system, fully back from injury, another year for Trubisky and Nagy's system. Yeah, it's all systems go for A-Rob.
He's still only 26 years old, too. I mean, I think it feels like he's been in the league forever, but, and he has, I guess. I mean, he's been there for a while, but he's still only 26, so he's still got a lot of time. He's still right in that prime window. So
he ended the year on a solid note too, in the playoff game too. So I'd actually be surprised if he was going as low as he was, because a lot of people saw that and saw kind of the ceiling he has in that offense. I think that offense is up for a bounce back too, as a whole. Trubisky should continue to get better.
What I find interesting
what do you have to say about Anthony Miller, J. Mike?
Look, man, Anthony Miller's my guy, but we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about A-Rob, and I want to try to keep it on the focus here because I find this interesting. January ADP, A-Rob is currently going as the wide receiver 29. Dante Pettis, wide receiver 36.
That's a
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if it's the case of A-Rob being down so far or Pettis being up so high. I don't know. I find that interesting. Like, so for A-Rob's, for instance, he's got Chris Godwin and Alshon Jeffrey in front of him. Right behind him, Christian Kirk and Will Fuller. And I think I like Allen Robinson better than all of those guys.
Yeah, he's kind of getting some disrespect. I don't like it.
Like he's going behind Tyler Lockett, behind Tyler Boyd. Like, wow. I think this might be a great buy time for Allen Robinson. But on the flip side, Dante Pettis, he balled out. Tyler Boyd balled out. Dante Pettis, two in front of him, Mike Williams and Anthony Miller. Behind him, Robbie Anderson and Traquan Smith. The recently eliminated Traquan Smith. I should add. Sorry, Saints fans.
Too soon, man. Yeah, Dante Pettis is probably going to drop a little bit too now that the new cycle has Antonio Brown going there. At least for the next couple months, we're probably going to see Dante Pettis free fall.
Yeah, he'd fall off a cliff.
Yeah,
be like wide receiver 66 at that point. I mean,
yeah.
Well, and the other thing is if one of the places that Kareem Hunt has been talked about landing is Chicago. And if he lands there, I think that helps that offense as a whole too. Opens things up on the outside a little bit more for those receivers too.
I think that's a fantastic point that I did not consider. Yeah, I did not even think about that, Brian. That's a great call. Let me ask this: as it pertains to A-Rob, what does he have? Does he have wide receiver like top 12 ceiling?
I don't think so. Not anymore. I think that as much as I like that offense, I think that they're an offense that's going to spread it around quite a bit. And if they do land Hunt, he's going to be involved in the pass game. And I think that the tight end, I think Burton had a down year. I think that they'll try to get the tight ends a little bit more involved too. But I think A-Rob's going to settle in like at least a high end, like wide receiver 2, mid wide receiver 2. That offense should take another step forward. I just don't know if he's in the elite tier.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that too. More of a wide receiver 2 overall. I think he has elite talent. I think his talent is elite. The right situation, if he was to end up in New England or in Indianapolis or somewhere like that, I mean, obviously he's not going anywhere. He just signed a 3-year contract in Chicago, but on a team with a little bit different circumstance, a little bit more solid quarterback situation. I think he has elite talent, but and with the Bears, I don't. I'm with you guys. I think it's probably more of a wide receiver too.
That's a decent floor, or even like expectation or whatever it is. Like, it's just crazy to have that same level of ADP, I guess, for Pettis and Kirk, and who else did you say? Robbie Anderson. I mean, like those guys, you think that their ceiling is like a wide receiver too, and to feel safe as that A-Rob's a wide receiver too, and possibly more. Like, I don't know, that's just psycho to me.
The when you go back and look, and I just find this incredibly interesting when we're talking about players and where they can land and all those different things. If you try to produce top 12 wide receiver this year, which was Keenan Allen in PPR leagues, 16.3 points per game, 260 points total. That's 97 catches for almost 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. I'm curious. I guess the thing now in Chicago is I'm curious if Allen Robinson can sustain the targets that would prop him up to be that high end number 2. Because even when you look at the target game, man, these numbers are
decent, really
astronomical. Like, so top 15 wide receivers, everybody's in triple digits, right? The lowest I think out of the bunch was Brandon Cooks at 117 out of the top 15 wide receivers. The wide receiver number 16 is Tyler Lockett with his super efficient 71 targets and 57 catches for 10 touchdowns. Like, that's insane, right? But everybody else is like they're triple digits, and it's not close. So I'm curious how where do you balance this super talented guy in an emerging offense with an improving quarterback, hopefully, awesome play caller, with the fact that how likely is it that he's going to get triple digit targets?
Completely. I mean, he almost did, and he didn't play all of his games either. Like, I think if he played all 16, he'd be right there with the 115, 120 range, or possibly more. I mean, there were some weird guys in that offense that that took advantage because of injuries or adjusting or whatever it was. Like Taylor Gabriel, like, are we expecting? He almost had nearly 100 targets as well. I mean, Tariq Cohen's getting his, but like, yeah, that's completely feasible, I think, to have 100 plus in 16 games.
And he doesn't even necessarily need that. They're kind of two different paths, because part of the problem this year was just the fact that Mitchell Trubisky was really pretty inaccurate as a passer.
So bad.
So, Allen Robinson, he had something like a 56% catch rate, I want to say off the top of my head. But he only had 2 drops. So he's barely caught 50% of his targets, yet it wasn't his fault. It's not like he's dropping the ball. It's just that, if the accuracy improves for Trubisky, he can still get there just with a little bit more efficiency.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a volume thing for him.
I find A-Rob so intriguing. They brought him up in the chat, and I find him so incredibly intriguing. If we're looking at DLF ADP, we'll jump back to that real fast, and then we'll move on. Marlon Mack or Allen Robinson?
Allen Robinson.
Hey, Rob.
We'll keep it on the same theme. Who'd you say?
I said it was pretty easy for me.
Okay, Tariq Cohen or Allen Robinson?
Allen
Robinson.
Okay. Jarvis Landry or Allen Robinson?
Robinson.
Still Robinson for me.
Robinson. Jarvis Landry.
Sony Michel, Allen Robinson.
Sony.
Yeah, it's gotta be Sony.
I think so too.
That one's kind of nasty.
Okay. Take one step back. Aaron Jones or Allen Robinson?
Brian Haar on
Killing
3.
us.
1, 2, 3.
Aaron Jones
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably.
That's like a choreographed dance. That's so cute.
Yeah, we practiced that at the Aaron Jones fan club meetings.
We do.
I like that. I like that. I'm scared to see what your secret handshake looks like. That's yeah. Anyway, back to the show. The next thing that they wanted to chat about, Burke. What's up, Burke? He asked, "What's Juju look like without AB?" And we touched on AB landing spot last week, but we didn't really do a ton of talking about Juju in terms of that. And also, he kind of followed up with James Washington. Does he get a bump?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, what Juju's done is super impressive. As a dynasty asset, he's still just so young that he should have tons of value. It's weird. I've thought about him without AB, and I'm not sure if AB really drew so much attention that it just propped up Juju. I think that's a possibility. I think my thought process is recency bias, though, because the last game without Antonio when they lost, I feel like Juju didn't go off. Like, he had a solid game, but that's just what stands in my head, and I'm just like, maybe he was more of a product of Antonio Brown being such a threat. But it's tough to say that and argue with the stats that he's put up. So he's one of those players I'm just super interested in, and I still one little thing that worries me is just Ben. Like, he's talked about retiring, and I have such a fear of play like wide receivers that lose a quarterback like that. And I'm just thinking of like AB whenever Ben gets hurt and Landry Jones had to come into the game, Brown's value just fell off. He was almost unstartable to a sense. So he's weird. I just get nervous with if they have Mason Rudolph back there and what it'd look like. So yeah, that's what I got on Juju.
QB1 Mason Rudolph.
What is this? An all Oklahoma State team? Is that what this is?
I mean, third year though, like, and just what he's done. I mean, you look at Michael Thomas and what he's been able to do, and I don't know. Sure, Drew Brees certainly helps, but I think Juju could certainly be ready to take over that role, and I do see that point. That certainly scares me the most as well. So it might be a little dependent on what happens at QB, but that 2020 class might be something nice for the Steelers too. So it might fall just perfectly for him.
I hope we can talk about the Michael Thomas thing. He's a player that I have the same questions with. Like, I have no idea what to think with post Breeze.
Let's talk about it then.
I would be selling him.
The bar is open.
This is your last chance.
You think this? Say it one more time.
I feel like this is like the season. He had such a hot end to the season, just an awesome year, and I think that Breeze's last year might be next year, and I just don't know what's going to happen with that offense. It's probably an unpopular take, but he's a player that has so much value. I mean, there's people who take him as wide receiver 2 in dynasty, wide receiver 3, and if you know that littlest bit of Breeze kind of starting to play bad. I feel like people are gonna see that and get worried with Thomas, and his value might start to plummet. And I feel like you could flip him for so many solid players right now. It's just kind of just what I've been thinking about a lot. I have a couple shares of Thomas, and I'm nervous not to move them and have it completely collapse.
I do feel a little bit better about Teddy Bridgewater than Mason Rudolph, though.
How do you feel about Taysom Hill?
Terrible in that Week 17 game.
Yeah, that's true.
That offense looked like it was in shambles, and I feel like that's when I really started to think about what would happen without Breeze.
I think that's really interesting to think about. This the life after.
You can say it with a lot of quarterbacks, honestly.
I mean, but that's so interesting that you say that, because Michael Thomas's catch percentage this year, and I know that this is something that Ho brought up previously. Michael Thomas's catch percentage was 85%, 147 targets. Yeah, 147 targets, 125 catches for 1,400 freaking yards on 85%. That's like nobody. I'm looking at this list of top 50 wide receivers. I don't see anybody else at 80. I'm sorry, no, Tyler Lockett, again, ridiculous. But like everybody else was like 70, like between 60 and 70. So like 85%. That's the Drew Brees effect. And Andy, I think that's a great point to think about, is even for as good as Michael Thomas is, what happens when the efficiency is not there? What happens when the ball's not placed so perfectly, right?
It's exactly how I feel about Kamara too. And a good Kamara is a special player, but I still think he's a big product of Breeze. And one thing that was what I thought about when I was watching the game over the weekend was they mentioned it, how Breeze just places it as he's running. So Kamara already has full speed when he starts to catch the ball, and he's gone. And I don't think a lot of quarterbacks can do that. And Breeze just has a knack for throwing to his running back. So Kamara is another player I just get nervous about, just because a ton of his values tied to his receiving prowess. So not to say I'm right. I just think that Breeze does so much. He's so accurate and hitting guys on the run like that. And Kamara benefits because he has so much momentum going, and he can gain yards after the catch. I just don't know if Bridgewater is that type of quarterback, or if whoever may land there.
Saints offense, let's open it up, fellas. What y'all think?
Well, I mean, I think they're going to find a quarterback. I'm not, and it might be Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not so sure that they're going to be okay with this, Super Bowl caliber roster being turned over to Teddy freaking Bridgewater. But it's possible. I don't know. I'm way less worried about Michael Thomas without Drew Brees. For one thing, I'd be more concerned about Michael Thomas if, they add a wide receiver in the draft, perhaps. That's the type of thing that would concern me. But I think he's going to be fine. He's going to get there on volume. And the reason I say that is every one of the wide receivers at the top really kind of have these same question marks.
Yeah.
With the exception of DeAndre Hopkins. And he's set at quarterback, but he does have, Fuller and QT to contend with. But beyond that, I mean, we're still talking about Beckham at the top, and Mike Evans is towards the top. I guess Devontae Adams is fairly safe too. But a lot of these guys, I mean, they don't have great quarterback play, and they just get their own volume. And I think Michael Thomas can do that as well.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that as well. I mean, I think, and Hopkins is a guy that you can look at historically. I mean, he's had Watson the last 2 seasons, but prior to that, he didn't have a quarterback pretty much for his entire career up to that point. So, I mean, I think those guys at the top end, the volume and the talent, I mean, they're elite talents. So the combination of those two things, they're going to be towards the top of the wide receiver scoring in fantasy, regardless of who the quarterbacks are. I mean, it might take a little dip. Are they going to be as high as they are with Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, et cetera, et cetera? Maybe not, but they're still going to be, in that upper tier.
I think that's at least worth exploring, though, with what Andy's talking about in regards to if he's not. So this season in PPR, he's top 6. So if the efficiency drops just a little bit, what happens if he's top 12? If you're looking at an asset, obviously he's super young, and I'm not saying he's going to drop off. I like Michael Thomas. He's fine. I get all that. And I'm not advocating, hey, go sell your Michael Thomas shares, even though I do have one and I'm thinking about moving. I have him rostered on a team, and I'm just saying if right now you can turn around and I don't know what you turn him into, I venture to think that that's worth exploring with such an unknown future. I don't know.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's I mean, to back up what you just, like, I'm not advocating selling. I guess what my point is, I just think it's something that you want to think about. I think you should just there's always pros and cons to every player, and I just feel like that would just be one of my cons. And there's something to think about. I mean, not to continue down the road, but like Breeze, I feel like when you watch the Saints, you kind of see them spreading it around too. Breeze is just such an elite quarterback, and the way he makes that offense run is why I get nervous. First, I get what you're saying. Like, Evans has Jameis Winston, who in real life kind of sucks, but they all. I mean, I don't know, not really a nice way to say it. He's just not good.
Hey, tell us how you really feel, Andy. Appreciate it.
But I feel like they're just like we're just like an air raid offense, so like they're gonna pass the ball a ton. Whereas like what you were saying, J Mike, is like Thomas, like his catch percentage was just crazy. And I think, yeah, like that might go down with a new quarterback, but you guys made a lot of good points. Like it could just, he could be fine and be buoyed off volume. It's just, I think it's interesting to just think about.
Yeah, and you brought up the guy that, I mean, I was going to talk about Mike Evans. I think J Mike, that's an example of essentially what can happen in that scenario. Now, not with a different quarterback, obviously, because Winston has been there the whole time, but just in terms of a drop off in efficiency, Mike Evans is a guy that had a pretty down season last year. Going into last season, he was the number 2-3 dynasty asset in all of dynasty, and all of a sudden he has that season where he wasn't quite as efficient, and now he's more, late first to mid second range in terms of startup value. So I think that's the type of fall that you could see here for a guy like Thomas potentially, but I don't see him dropping much further than that just because of, again, the volume and the talent.
You have to put him in the category of Odell Beckham essentially, or Mike Evans, I think is fair too. But like between those two guys, I think have like the worst quarterback situation in terms of kind of looking through these top, 20, 24 wide receivers. And a lot of these quarterbacks are already, top 10, top 12. So there's a massive correlation with that. But if a wide receiver is going to succeed, they need to be elite, and they need to be the Odell Beckham type, and they need to be the Mike Evans type, I guess. And with that, maybe some help around them to where they're not, distributing the ball in some type of way where Mike Evans has to give some to Godwin and Howard or Ronald Jones, or with Odell, with Sterling Shepard coming on and Ingram, and now Barkley, like, massively taking over. I mean, I don't know. Like, you got to put him in that tier of elite wide receivers, and that's fine. I think he's certainly in that conversation, but there's a massive correlation between top QBs and top wide receivers.
What about Adams or Mike Thomas for you guys? Like for me, it's Adams, and it's not close.
Really, I've still got Michael Thomas. I mean, you know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers now, but yeah, I mean, Thomas just gets more volume, and I don't believe that that's going to change.
Yes, I just wanted to show you something.
Yeah.
Somebody watching foreign
Someone
film?
unmuted porn.
What just happened?
I really don't know.
Someone want to break up this conversation?
I thought you guys had some drops or something. And
I was actually really confused. I had a tab open, and I was like, who's playing something? And it was
I think we just added our first drop to
Yes.
It's like when we're like tired of hearing someone talk, we just
Appreciate your contributions there, Andy. Thank you.
I was actually I popped open Netflix. I was gonna start watching some shit. That new. Am I allowed to go down here? I didn't ask.
Look, the open bar is a place where you are free to be you. So
Great. Travis would yell at me if I said any swear.
Understood. Shout out to Travis, former guest on the pod. Randomly, as I look at these numbers, and then we'll transition again. Combined between Juju and Antonio Brown, do you guys want to guess how many targets they combined for?
Two.
goodness.
It's over 370.
I'd say 335.
Oh shit! I said catches. Oh, I don't know.
Targets?
Targets. We talking about targets, not a game. Not a game. Not catches.
Targets?
I'm trying to do math
Over
here.
300? Is it really over 300?
Yeah.
It's over 300.
Is it?
It's
my God.
around. It's
All
in
right,
the neighborhood of
I don't know
three.
what the hell I'm talking about.
Doing math in
Close
the
to
bar
300.
is not.
I didn't sign up to do
Not
math in the bar. Gabe, you're the
374.
That's a good guess. Gabe, you are the math teacher of the group. Not sure. Not sure of everyone else's occupations, but I'm sure you want to work in the bar right now. 168 plus 166, is that 334?
I already forgot what numbers you said.
Off by
168, 166.
See, that's what happens. Trying to do math.
Yeah, you were close. Well done, Har.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, 168 for Antonio Brown.
That's my team, so I.
It's the details. The details.
So he knows every one of those 330. He probably thinks it's 335. He's like, no, that was a target.
They forgot that intentional grounding.
Yeah,
week 6. Yeah, I just find that absurd between two guys. Obviously, Antonio Brown finished top 5, and Juju was top 8. Obviously, that's just absurd.
And that means 168 to go around when AB.
That's honestly,
all of those go to Juju. Every single one of them.
Also, Jesse James is a free agent. More targets to go around, baby.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it is true though. There's going to be, if Antonio Brown leaves that offense, the question originally, like half an hour ago, was about James Washington and Juju. And I think both of those guys, James Washington isn't going to elevate to a Juju Smith-Schuster level immediately. So, I think Juju definitely benefits volume wise. Now he's also not going to be facing, number 2 cornerbacks. He's going to be facing double teams, different things like that. So, I guess it'll be interesting to watch how that all levels out moving forward.
He played a bunch out of the slot too. So yes. I think he's going to move outside quite a bit more if AB eventually does leave.
It's shocking. It's shocking to be the wide receiver 2 on the team and you have 166 targets.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable.
I think.
Yeah. They were. Wait.
Free those up
for context, real quick. I'm sorry, Gabe. Just for context. Again, and this is off of FantasyData.com. Antonio Brown and Juju were 3rd and 4th in the league in targets on the same team. That's crazy.
Yeah. Here's what's crazier. I knew those numbers. I knew 168 and 166. I did the math in my head, in my little brain. It came up with 174. That is unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. And I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah, in front of a math teacher, no less. Ridiculous.
Folded to the pressure.
I'm guessing
I'm going to take this to my professional development.
I'm guessing you don't still hit your students with rulers anymore, but you might make.
I don't think you're even allowed to say it.
Oh, Hogue. I think that's what you get when you take A-Rod at 101 is what happens.
Apparently,
you can't do math.
That's what my math led me to. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
I have one more thing, just because when we were talking, a top QB with a top wide receiver, I kind of started looking at the top 24 wide receivers. How many QBs do y'all think exist? Because I did count them up. How many QBs do y'all think exist that are outside of the top 12?
That have what?
That have a top 24 one or more top 24 wide receivers.
Outside of the top 12 quarterbacks, but you have a top 24 wide receiver.
Correct.
Wow.
You're so much better than me at putting words together.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand, so I don't say something.
Say that one more time for me.
The rules are outside.
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to.
It's like the opposite. So talk to me.
Do I need to write this down?
I feel like I'm 5.
Sine, cosine, and whatever else there is.
Y'all are high on pot news right now. So outside of the top 12 for QBs with one or more top 24 wide receivers.
It's probably some stupid hot number. I'm going to say 5.
I'm still confused. 7.
It's that jet lag from San Diego to North Carolina.
It's something.
374.
You should have gone with 174, man. That's your number in this episode.
335.
Hogue, you never made being wrong sound so good. That's I like that.
I if I miss big.
J Mike, I think you're right on. From my count, I think it would be Eli with Odell, Andy Dalton with Tyler Boyd. I'm not going to count Amari Cooper because 2 teams and Dak was there, but Derek Carr was certainly not. Stafford, Baker, who arguably could be a QB1 with points per game, and then Case Keenum would be there to round it out. So,
6.
but all 5 of those guys had wide receiver 2s. So I'd be curious to look into that more about the whole Michael Thomas Juju argument and to see what would happen without a top 12 QB. Pretty interesting.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Renshaw in the chat asked, he says, what happens next year when Green Bay's offense sucks like Tennessee's did this year? And he said, who are they going to blame then? That's funny, Renshaw. So yeah, LaFleur goes and takes his 25th ranked pass offense from Tennessee up to Hogue's 101 in Green Bay. This could be a match made in the depths of Tenderflex, I think. This could be really good or really ugly.
You can't even destroy my high right now. J Mike just shouted out Tinderflex. You can talk all the shit you want about Aaron Rodgers, but J Mike knows what Tinderflex is.
Turn up.
Yeah, that's all I care about. No, let's be clear though. Aaron Rodgers, Mr. 101, is the offensive coordinator in Green Bay.
This is true.
He's calling the plays, and he's no Marcus Mariota.
Did anyone see that interview with Martellus? Was it Martellus Bennett and whoever else was there? The old Jacksonville tight end who was in Green Bay. Oh,
Mercedes Lewis.
Where they basically told the story about how Rodgers took a play in from McCarthy and looked over to him and basically was like, nah, and just ran his own play. Basically was like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was the play successful?
I have no idea. I don't know. I saw it and I just laughed.
You got us halfway there. Thanks, Andy.
That's what I'm good at again.
I mean, we can make an educated guess that it was far more successful than it would.
Touchdown.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Somehow he threw a touchdown pass that was worth, 8 points in one throw. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. And then he fired Mike McCarthy.
That was just the cherry on top for him. Probably he probably liked it too.
Yep.
Why isn't Aaron Rodgers like Tom Brady though? Like, is it the Belichick connect that Rodgers would need to be that elite? Like, why aren't the Packers in the NFC Championship? 13, 14 times in a row.
Yeah, they just haven't figured out how to cheat. So,
offensive line play. I mean, Rodgers is he gets beat up quite a bit, and Tom Brady didn't. I don't think Tom Brady got hit except when he got tapped on the shoulder for the personal foul call in that AFC Championship game.
God.
So
yeah, we do have. I
didn't bring up the question to bring all this hate. Okay.
Well, that's what you get. No, I find, man, I don't know. We watched Aaron Jones get jerked around the first half of the year. We watched Jamal Williams be productive, particularly what was that? The championship week. Against the Jets, week 16, where he just ripped the heart out of a lot of people, me included, as he got 30 some odd points in PPR. We watched Devontae Adams be as consistent as almost anyone in the league, if not more so than anyone else in the league. We still saw tight ends don't matter in Green Bay. And I'm curious to see what LaFleur does to actually add value, right? Because you've got the best, if not one of the best quarterbacks in the game. How are you going to add value when, okay, sweet, you had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay and you went to Tennessee and you made Exotic Smash Mouth look really good because you were running something different and it didn't look great. And obviously Mariota can't feel his hand. All sorts, Blaine Gabbert still in the NFL. RIP Blaine Gabbert to Jacksonville. That still makes me sad. I don't know, man. It's just something that I can't get excited about for some strange reason, aside from Rodgers and Adams. If you're putting your money on any of those guys that are currently on the roster to be the wide receiver 2, would you either take any of those guys, Jamon Moore, MVS, or ESB, or are you taking the field in terms of someone either from the draft or free agency to be the wide receiver 2 for the Packers?
I think it's going to be ESB. Isn't there something where the Packers spent so much money on Aaron Rodgers that they can't even afford to sign a solid wide receiver right now? I thought I saw something last offseason on that they kind of have to utilize the draft, but they have so many needs.
That's gross.
That could be. They also just they don't really go after free agents at the offensive skill positions. They don't really draft those guys early. They don't spend a whole lot of draft capital. So, I think it's somebody who's on roster. I tend to agree with Andy there. I think it's probably St. Brown, but Jake Kumaro, is that how you say it? I don't even know.
Kumaro.
Yeah.
The rushing.
That's my dark horse right there.
J-Mike, didn't we have this conversation? Don't we do this once every 3 months or something about the Packers wide receiver 2?
Do we?
I don't know. I just feel like I had to tout ESB for whatever reason a while ago.
So as far as the Packers getting better as an offensive unit, though, how do they do that? They continue to give Aaron Jones the football. I mean, I honestly, the guy had 264 more yards on 12 more carries than Jamal Williams and 5 more touchdowns. So, I mean, how do they get more, how do they get better as an offensive unit? They give the ball to Aaron Jones. They stop splitting carries between their running backs. Now, the biggest question about Aaron Jones for me is, can he stay healthy with the full load instead of splitting at 50%? If he can, then I think that offense is better because he's good. The second wide receiver in Green Bay isn't right now. They're not. I mean, they're not good right now. So that's to me how the offense gets better. Stop throwing the ball, 50 times a game and give the ball to Aaron Jones.
But then even with the 3 running backs that they had, they could have been something more. I don't know how Nagy utilizes Cohen and Howard, that completely different running backs. And I guess Williams and Jones would be the closest of the 3 that they had. I don't know, not really, but Montgomery totally could have been leaning the Cohen, but I don't know. I still think McCarthy held back so much of what that offense could have been. I don't think it was that bad last year or what it could have been. Yeah,
I totally agree. And I'm not worried at all about LaFleur. I think that was a lot of Mariota and the injuries and their defense played well sometimes. So I'm not worried about it. I mean, when you have Aaron Rodgers, I'm not worried about really anything. He's just ridiculously good. I forget where I was going. I had something to say with what Gabe said, and then I just went on a tangent. It was probably stupid, so it works out.
Hey, tangent though, trigonometry, math. I mean, that's pretty neat.
We're keeping it going. Keep it going. 374. Yes, John, that was for you.
Yes, that's the answer to everything. 374.
Hashtag.
Yes. I think we have our show title, by the way, Game 374.
Yep.
Math. The in terms of what you guys are up to this, I was about to say off season. Wrong. Try again. For this extended preseason, extended postseason, whatever we want to call it, non-point scoring season.
There it is.
That's
there
what
it
I
is.
thought it was.
Yes, non-point scoring season. What is it that you guys are doing now to be either your prep job, your review of the year? I know that on Superflex, you guys kind of were able to review kind of your hits, your misses, as well as give out awards and whatnot. What is everyone doing to prep themselves or get themselves right for what's next?
I'm gonna try to trade all my bad players for really good players.
Yes, sir.
The dude.
Did those bad players have a good year, or are they just bad?
They're just bad.
The dude abides.
Like the really good players for them.
Mhm. The dude of bads.
I gotta figure out.
I like that, Andy. Well done. That's deep.
Yep. That's my hard hitting analysis of my offense right now.
Nice. I mean, I'm still doing a little reflecting. I had a horrible season, and I'd love to understand why, and try not to repeat it. Although, I mean, it's probably going to be more of the same next year. But I at least want it to look different. And I'm trying to learn these freaking rookies. I know very little about this rookie class so far. And then above all else, I'm doing what I always do, fighting back the frontiers of ignorance on overdrafting running backs and passing on quarterbacks. And yeah, I finally managed to browbeat my co-hosts going into the season into the idea that you build a super flex roster around the quarterbacks because they hold their value for so much longer. And not only that, once you get past the startup, they actually gain quite a bit of value immediately after the startup. And it's the only position that does that. Finally convinced them of that. And then we go through a full season where, the best quarterback on earth just kind of comes out of nowhere and starts throwing no-look passes all over the field. And all of a sudden it's, well, you can't predict quarterbacks, so we're right back to the running backs. God damn it. Okay.
You saying there's variance in fantasy football?
We struck a nerve right there. That was
there's not variance for me. That's the problem. My life has absolutely no variance. It's this continuous loop of arguing this all off season, finally making some progress, and then have to start over.
It's hard to climb all the time.
And all of my off-season stuff is revolved around trading. I'm trying to trade like every day. I love
hashtag brand.
I'm kind of an addict, if you will. So
that's enough for you, pal.
I thought this was a free-for-all, open bar, right? Jesus, false advertising. This is bullshit. No, but yeah, same as these guys. I'm just trying to review my season a little bit, and I'm trying to make deals now. Every day is another opportunity to make a deal that makes my squad better. So, trying to do that and gauge values and different things. Learn the rookie class a little bit better. So, same types of stuff.
Yeah, one thing I will add to trying to get good players for bad players is
there's something to add to that.
Yeah,
Seems pretty complete.
Thought into this, just identifying players that I think pretty much are gonna go up in value pretty significantly, and whether it was that they had a down year, like we talked about A-Rob, or other guys who were injured. Like right now, I love trying to buy like Hunter Henry or Darius Geis. I feel like Geis is a player who's like, I think he has tons of value right now, but I think that I think he's going to end up being a lot more valuable than he currently is now. So just things like that where I see values just skyrocketing. I feel like at the tight end position, outside of those big three, Kittle. Kittle. Oh my God, Kittle, Kelsey. Oh, Ertz. There's not really like anyone else I'd want outside of Hunter Henry, and I feel like he's right now just one of the cheaper players.
Yeah, that's a great one. And second year wide receivers, right? You know, that just finished their rookie year. That's kind of along the same lines. People bail on those guys way too fast, considering, you know, the second and third year is kind of when the breakout comes. So, I mean, you drafted them early, and then after one down year, you're ready to bail on them. And then they learn the playbooks and they learn the NFL game, and they have their breakout in their second year, and you can clean up on people bailing on those guys because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get in year one.
Speaking of that real quick, it might have been discussed enough on Twitter today, I guess, but we were called out, J Mike, and it looks as if you were the one to hit our Twitter account, our shared Twitter account. And the question was, it was a poll. It said most likely to bust out year 2. There were 3 players on this list. Again, you had access to the account. The 3 players are.
As did you, mind you.
Have we not said enough that I am an educator of America? 11:51 a.m. You know what I'm doing at 11:51 a.m. Central Time, J Mike?
Lunch duty, cafeteria?
No, J Mike. I don't get lunch until 1:12 p.m. I have to wait a long time to eat food. Anyways, DJ Moore, Anthony Miller.
Speak up. I can't speak up. No, speak up. Say it again. Come again.
DJ Moore, Anthony Miller, Cortland Sutton. J Mike had access to the account today. You know how I know that? Because he has already voted for the poll, and there's a little check mark next to the name that he chose. The name that he chose, Anthony Miller. 24% currently losing to Cortland Sutton at 27%. I'm sorry, I'm like giving the results away right now, but DJ Moore at 49%. So of those 3, whether that's a question for John, since you brought out the guys that could possibly break out next year or maybe the year after, which of those 3 is it going to be?
Wait, before you guys answer that, can we?
No, we're done talking about Anthony Miller.
No, we need to hash this out. Why are you monitoring my Twitter activity? Like, what's the deal with that?
No.
These trust issues.
Trust issues digging me holes. It's not free.
I mean, damn. All right, whatever. Y'all go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all seen the movie Be Cool. Andre 3000. He's sitting there holding the gun. He shoots. Don't give me no gun, then. Don't give me no gun, then.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I'll start. I guess it would have been DJ Moore if you asked me, I don't know, a couple months ago. I'm nervous that Cam might sit out this year. It just leaves that situation cloudy. From a talent perspective, I'd probably go Moore, or if Cam was fine. But outside that, I'll probably roll with Anthony Miller. I like Nagy as a coach. So I'm not super high. I've never really liked Cortland Sutton. I'm not super high on him in that offense, especially with another year of Keenum, and again the quarterback thing. I feel like a broken record.
Yeah, in 2019, I'll go DJ Moore over Cortland Sutton. Not by a lot, but yeah, I mean, and that's only because the Cam Newton thing definitely makes me nervous too. But I mean, if you go with any other quarterback, I mean, if they bring in like a Joe Flacco, then first of all, you know that Cam Newton's shoulder is going to be a concern. There's some guys out there that they could bring in as kind of that bridge quarterback. And those are going to be guys who are probably going to attempt more passes than Cam Newton would have. So it doesn't concern me too much, but I think that's valid. So I'll go with DJ Moore. But part of the problem with Cortland Sutton too, like Andy said, I mean, the quarterback situation in Denver is going to be an issue, and it's going to stunt his growth a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of along those lines too. I think, I mean, obviously before Cam was injured, I think DJ Moore is probably the answer for most folks. But with the injury to Cam, you know, again, it all just depends on if they, you know, if and who they bring in at quarterback. If he ends up sitting and it is a guy like Flacco or somebody else that, you know, is going to fixate on a wide receiver one, because I mean, that's what DJ Moore is in that offense. So, especially moving forward, you know, then it's going to be him. If they go with the rosters that they have today, which they probably won't do, then, you know, then I would say it is Miller, because he has the best quarterback right now. You know, but again, there's a lot of time. I mean, we're talking here, it's January 22nd. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in between now and the time the season begins that's going to affect this answer. You know, long-term value. I mean, I know that wasn't the question. The question was who's going to break out this year. I think it's probably between Moore and Miller, depending on what happens at quarterback in Carolina. Long-term, I like Cortland Sutton as much as either of these guys, to be honest with you. So
I really just feel like this was basically you guys doing your best rendition of Dave Chappelle's Haters Ball right now. No one mentioned my main man, which is cool. You know, I just I hate you. I don't even know you, and I hate your guts. That's what I feel like right now. So,
didn't Andy said Anthony Miller, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, Andy. My bad.
Yeah, no, you weren't listening. It's all good. I wasn't going to correct you. It's fine.
Yeah, I totally just avoided Anthony Miller. And I love Anthony Miller, but I'm, you know, back to where we started with this show. I'm gonna be so high on Allen Robinson going into this season, and it's hard to imagine, you know, the attempts going up and the accuracy going up enough for Mitchell Trubisky to support two of those guys. So I think it's Allen Robinson for this year, and which leaves Anthony Miller waiting another year for the breakout.
Yeah, give me Taylor Gabriel over Anthony Miller.
Oh, damn. Oh, man.
You talk about logging off. Like, no, we're done here. Okay, we're disrespectful, man.
Disrespect.
Man, crazy. Man. Hey, Andy, I know that obviously Dynasty Life is just kind of folded up. Not sure if you wanted to start a new podcast or if you were looking for a co-host for something fresh. You know,
this is your tryout right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Travis kind of exploded. He's been he's on a new podcast. Obviously, we weren't good enough for him, which is completely fine. I was really sick of Travis and had so much to say all the time. So I feel like I'm on a nice little vacation.
Airing out all the dirty laundry. I like it. I'm just kidding. The golly, it's the chat lit back up, which was nice to see. Jake Anderson's in the building. What's up, Jake?
That's what happens when Jake shows up.
Yeah,
he comes to life.
Yes.
He starts mixing that glass around with all that ice that everyone hates.
Zach from the Dynasty Dummies in the building. Aton was bringing up Eric Enron stock in the chat. I told him he needs to get out of Enron ASAP, because if he still has Enron stock, then he's probably going to jail. Yeah, that was it.
Those two names are. That's good.
I posed the question to start the show because Zach wanted to know. Zach says, Zach came in the door and said, "Hey guys, can you just re-rack everything you've said so far so I can catch up? I don't want to." So
I can sum it up in one number.
Yeah.
Yes. You'll never guess that number. So I posed the question in the chat. 14-team Superflex. Who do you take 101 in a startup? Renshaw says Twitter says Mahomes. Jake Anderson says Barkley. Aton says Barkley. Zach says Barkley.
Wow.
So essentially, Barkley
This
is
weirds me out now.
is.
Do I need to watch some tape on this Saquon Barkley?
Saquon 01, I believe is his name, right, Brian?
Saquon 01. Yes.
The
Baquan.
Baquan. I like that one too. Andy, Jake has a question directly directed at you.
Wow.
It's his
Probably come with K Metcalf.
No, the answer is he's not even an option here. He asks, Kerryon Johnson, is he a top 12 dynasty running back for you, sir?
Yes, sir. I love Kerryon coming out. He was my running back 3 last year. I have Kerryon in so many places. He's awesome. I think that he was held back. There was a lot for whatever reason. Leg Blunt was getting so much work in Detroit, which was odd. I think that all that work's just going to go to Kerryon. And Kerryon, he's one of those running backs that can do everything. Great pass protector, catches the ball. He's a natural receiver. So I think that he could end up being one of the big workhorses. It kind of stinks that he got injured because he was finally starting to pick up some steam. He was getting more work. So I'm excited to see what Kerryon can do. It's also another thing to add with Tate gone, he caught so many short passes. I feel like it might open up to more targets for Kerryon in the passing game.
Okay. Jake's on fire right now in the chat. I'm not sure if you guys
About Kerryon.
I don't know how to look at the chat.
He's shaking that glass
on
right
YouTube.
now. I know it. He's swishing down.
It's on the YouTube link basically. If you pull that up, you probably have to mute the video, but you can see the chat as it goes.
And that's what he says.
I've already had ads planned. I'm not going to start that YouTube video and just we'll hear ourselves talking over.
Yeah, because apparently Gabe always says that there's no chat, and Zach from the Dummies also says in the chat there is no chat.
Shit.
So we're getting I don't know, like born ultimatum deep right now.
Right.
Okay, sorry, I'm done. Any other questions before I jump to something different?
I like Kerryon too. Such a smooth runner, man.
Yeah.
Them hips.
Hips don't lie. Hips don't lie. Let's see, anything else from that? Oh, and John, this kind of, I think you spoke to it earlier in the show, but Jake wasn't here for it, and I'm not going to ask you to repeat yourself. But anyone who says, I quote, never QB 101.
Oh man, Jake. So me and Jake actually started off on the Super Flexible podcast together back in the day. And it's like I said, I mean, it takes me X amount of time to get through to these guys. And then as soon as we take a break, any kind of break whatsoever, now that me and Jake don't get the podcast together every single week, he's forgetting everything that I taught him. So, need to come back to the show, Jake. We got something to talk about here.
Jake's
John said that he said that with authority too. It was like, need to come back to the show, Jake.
Yeah,
like
he's not kidding around.
No.
J Mike, we were talking about Superflex just there, to start the show and here, but I didn't even know Saquon was like the 101 in general. Like,
yeah, bro.
What planet am I on? I don't. That's
Right.
bizarre.
Who would you take 101? Just in general.
In general, no Superflex.
Yeah.
I guess I just figured that wide receivers were still relevant enough to be there, like between Hopkins and OBJ. But I mean, OBJ wouldn't be like, I wouldn't take him at 101, but I think that because he's now fallen probably to a 105 or 6, maybe. I don't know, J Mike, you can check me on that ADP, but I'm sure people are tripping. And
wait, who'd you say? Who were you saying?
OBJ.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just curious where his ADP is, but I still think wide receiver. I don't know. Like I love Saquon, but that's crazy. It's crazy.
What if you had to guess? Where would you?
2016.
What's that?
Wide receiver was like so 2016.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
before the running back renaissance, bruh.
I'm still wearing Crocs, bro. I'm just trying to catch up.
Buddy of mine sent me a meme the other day with somebody who was rocking some steel-toed Crocs.
Oh shit!
Like that was absurd.
When I was in high school, I used to wear
smart.
clogs, clogs with socks.
Clogs with socks.
That was
That sounds like the first edition of the UGG. Is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
As soon as Tom Brady was part of UGG, I bought a pair of those suckers. Like that day.
I bought a pair of those suckers.
My feet ain't stopped sweating ever since, man. It's crazy.
I still have them.
By the way, Gabe, OBJ in January ADP, number 8 overall.
Oh, see, the disrespect is real.
That was your man's. That was your man's.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the thing for me with Saquon, outside of the fact that he went to Penn State, which it's pretty well documented that I'm a graduate of the school and live 6 miles from the stadium and all of that fun stuff. So
Pittsburgh? Oh, snap. I didn't know you were a Pitt Panther. Awesome.
No. All right. See you guys later. I'm out. Oh my God. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I don't even know what to do right now. I'm flustered. I tell it my train of thought, like you might as well. Hold on. Let me collect myself here. All right. So anyway, Saquon Barkley. So there were 12 receivers that caught more passes than Saquon this year. And he was the wide receiver, I think. Well, he was 47th in yards as far as receiving yards go. So for me, I guess I think, that is such a huge part of his game. And then you add the 1,300 yards rushing on top of that and all the touchdowns and behind a shitty offensive line and the fact he's 21 years old. I mean, that for me is why he's he's the first guy off the board. The other, I would consider Todd Gurley there too, I think. And for a lot of the same reasons, just catches a ton of passes. So you're getting like a wide receiver. It's the old Le'Veon Bell, conversation. You're getting a wide receiver 2 or 3 in addition to a running back 1. So it's like getting 2 players worth of production in one. That's why I think those guys. Now, what John will tell you, I think, is that the replication of those seasons doesn't typically happen. So that's where the difference in philosophies go, I think, with that. But I think that is, when you're talking about the appeal of Saquon Barkley or Todd Gurley or, those top 8 or so picks in a startup that are running backs, Christian McCaffrey's, Alvin Kamara's, that's all because you're getting 2 players worth of production in one player potentially.
Yeah, even if Barkley lost 40 points, if he had 30 points, he'd still be the wide receiver 1 from this year. He just had such a remarkable year, and he's just going to be continued to use that way. I mean, I feel like the Giants would just look so stupid if they didn't like force feed him the ball after taking him so high in the draft. So I feel like he's just so ridiculously safe. He's so young. He's so talented. Even like I feel like it doesn't matter what quarterback comes in there next. They're just going to give him the ball a ton.
I agree with that. I guess I'm just long-term like consistency, the so 2016 take, but with running backs, I mean, man, I don't know if he really gets 350 touches a year, is he going to be able to sustain a 5-year career in the NFL?
Right.
300 and in this day and age too, it's bigger, faster, stronger. Like I think it's getting worse really as far as how many games players can play in a year or just years in general. But I don't know. That's so much. It's so much.
And even just on a week-to-week basis, that's my problem with running backs is you have to guess who's going to give you a full season? You know, who's going to be consistent without getting injured, without losing their job for, you know, to like fall into a committee or ultimately lose their job to randomly lose their job to CJ Anderson. You have to, you know, who's going to get suspended for beating someone in a hotel lobby? Like, who's going to hold out for the entire season? And it's just so hard to figure out, because I agree with the notion that running backs are kind of the key to winning fantasy championships, but it's like, which running back is going to, you know, give me that full season, much less, you know, a long-term investment in a dynasty league. And we're bad enough at figuring this stuff out at every position, but the running back position is just so volatile and so hard to predict and project that I just don't even want to deal with it. Like, you know, just give me the safety of the wide receiver who I can put in there, and I know he's going to be there every single week.
So, John, as far as consistency goes, so the top 7 running backs this year: Christian McCaffrey, Todd Gurley, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Zeke, James Conner, and Melvin Gordon through 16 weeks. Combined between those 7 players, guess how many weeks that they, just out of curiosity, guess how many weeks that they scored under 10 fantasy points in like a standard 12-team PPR? Huh?
Between those 5 guys?
Between those 7. There's 7 guys.
In the games that they actually played in?
In the games that they actually played in.
Because that's part of the key, is the fact that you didn't have Connor or Gurley for the fantasy playoffs. You know, that's part of my issue there.
Or Gordon, really.
Yeah, Gordon.
I mean, part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then there was still Kareem Hunt, who you lost, you know, when you were approaching the fantasy playoffs. You lost Le'Veon Bell. A lot of people took Le'Veon Bell first overall and then didn't get him at all this season.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so that's the thing to me, is on a week to week basis, who can I count on? Now, if they're in there, they're going to score points. I won't deny that at all. But, you know, it's just figuring out who's going to be there, who's going to be in there. And not only that, I mean, you know, the fact that we did have James Conner and we had Chris Carson, and, you know, some of these guys, you could have taken Nick Chubb in your rookie draft, and instead of, you know, you could have went wide receiver heavy in your startup, and then in the rookie draft, you could have got Nick Chubb. And, you know, these are all guys who you could have got super cheap, who would have helped you win your championship. And there's far fewer of those guys at the other positions.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point too. Yep.
Very good.
I don't think anyone answered your question.
No.
27.
My question with the under 10 points.
It was
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I answered that. I don't care.
It was 7. It was 7. Each of them had 1.
Yeah, they were solid when they were in there. There's no doubt. And if you can find that, I mean, that's definitely an easy formula to winning in year 1. So, you know, it's just a matter of getting it right at running back, and that's just it feels like that's such a crapshoot to me.
I do feel like if there is one to be the outlier of sorts, like an dare I say LaDainian Tomlinson, it be closer to Barkley. I mean, the man is exactly what people are hoping to see from him, and more.
Fantastic. So we're at about the 85-minute mark. So I told these guys I would try to be as respectful of their time as possible. And of course, the chat lit all the way up as we're trying to close down the shop. Anything else we need to address before we start getting these outros? Okay, nothing.
Nib
All
high
right.
football rules.
I've got something real quick. Trading. Shout out to Kamikaze, everybody on Twitter, to John Bosch, Clint Followill League. It's pretty well famous at this point. Everyone knows all about it. 14 team Superflex League, and trading literally opened up as the pod was going on today, and I already have 3 offers in my inbox for Nick Chubb. Wow, that happened really fast. Anyhow, real quick, would you guys either trade Nick Chubb for one Mike Evans or Steph Diggs straight up?
I'm such a running back homer. Like, I feel like I would rather have Chubb.
And I know you get points per carry in that league, J Mike.
No points per carry in this one.
There isn't?
It's PPR, but no points per carry.
Okay. I thought it was kind of a clone of the bar tab.
I'd take Evans straight up.
Yeah, a smart person would take Evans. I'm not that, though.
I don't think I'd take Diggs, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Yeah, same. Man, I want to take Chubb, though, but I got to stay on brand. I just went on a long rant against running backs. I can't.
And I don't know where your roster stands, too, but I think there's something to be said about that, J Mike, because I think like where people are deciding like is kind of the point where you say like, well, what's your roster look like? Because the value's like that close probably to where Mike Evans, sure, Steph Diggs, like I think that Chubb is like right in between both those guys. So it depends on what you're looking like on your roster.
Yeah, this is a team that this is year 2 of that league. And like you said, it is very much like the Bar Tab league that we're in together, Gabe. Like I said, 14 team super flex. My wide receivers are gross. My best, I don't even want to tell you who my best wide receivers are because it's really not even a
Tyler Boyd.
We're not going to talk about it.
Anthony Miller is
running
Miller
backs,
your best wide receiver.
But running backs, this is a league where preseason I traded Randall Cobb for James Conner and Jalen Samuels.
That was a good idea.
Well, it was one of those things like I did it on impulse, like when they were first whispering about the Le'Veon Bell thing, and then I got really scared. Like, why did I make that trade? Like, oh, that's terrible. And then it ended up working out really well. So I've got like James Conner, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Tevin Coleman.
Wow.
I'm missing somebody else, but the rest of my team's not good. So I was going to start trying to reach out to get some good receivers, and I know that I have Mike Evans on the table for Chubb. So
is that one where you only have to start if it's anything like Bar Tab, you only have to start like 1 or 2 of wide receivers probably. So
yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah. So you can start all those running backs but
all right. So I was just curious. Anyhow,
I think the real answer is wubba lubba chub chub.
Nice.
Yeah, obviously Chubb has value too if you have that many offers in your inbox already. So if someone else really
y'all gotta make them fight for it, man.
Yeah, you could.
No, you're not Mike Evans. Are you kidding me?
It's Nick Chubb, man.
Yeah.
I want Evans and Diggs.
Put up or shut up.
First.
Mike Evans and Mike Evans and a first.
All right. I think it's closing time, Gabe.
Closing time.
Sadly. Golly, what a good episode.
All right. Whatever you say, J Mike. Let's say goodbye in the same order that we introduced people. Andy Fresh.
All right, thanks. I appreciate you guys having me on. This was awesome.
Would you like to apply for the open position of podcast host? If J Mike wants to, do that.
I don't know if I'm up for joining anything. I have a busy year coming up for me as far as traveling and for work, but I'm sure there's a ton of good candidates out there.
Hey, you know what? Forget I said anything. Moving on. No, it's great. And it was a pleasure having you on, my man. Seriously. We're sad to not hear your voice anymore on the Dynasty Life.
Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. Hardy Har. Brian Har.
Yes. Thank you guys very much for having me. I had a great time. This was a lot of fun. Good group here too. So good stuff.
Indeed. Thank you for the Saquon 101. I don't know how to say it still because I wouldn't do it, so I don't think I should know how to say it.
Saquon 01.
All right. I'll practice.
Close.
I'll practice in front of the mirror tonight. Go listen to the Trade Addicts pod. What's what outhouse? Is it Rich or Russ? I always forget.
It's Russ. It's Russ.
Russ. Okay.
I'm gonna call him Rich from now on, though. That's fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it.
J Mike knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, exactly. Rich homie outhouse.
Yeah. Who's Rich? Yeah, so no, go listen to that. He Rich said to go listen after the open bar, so go listen to that right now. The Hogue, John Hogue.
You know what does rhyme with sport, Gabe? 374.
Hey, that does actually. Right.
Close enough.
Where'd you guys go to school?
I better get back to the booth and re-record that one. Thanks for coming on, man. Would you like to share anything about yourself? Your favorite super flex player, your super flex podcast, anything super flex worthy of sharing?
Quarterbacks in the first 3 picks of a super flex startup draft.
Wait, hold on. Who's the third one then?
So it's for me, it's Rodgers, Mahomes, and Luck.
Where was Luck at the beginning of the season for you?
He fell down to, I believe he went as low as quarterback 5 for me at one point.
I can respect that as long as you didn't put him at like 9 or 10 like the stands did.
Yeah. It was tough because I had no idea if his arm was going to stay on or what. But yeah,
turns out it did.
Yeah. That was all I needed. He's proven everything else. So just make sure that arm is fully attached and away we go. So yeah, he's back up to quarterback 3 for me. And I had to give in on Mahomes. He's quarterback 2 for the moment. But you can get nuggets like that and so much more on the Superflex Super Show. And then the FF Statistics podcast as well.
Statistics.
Nice.
I wasn't quite in my
and when every time you hear that intro, you picture Gabe and his Daisy Dukes.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna bring it back soon. I think I got something in the works.
Nice.
J Mike inspired me. Fellas, so good to have you on, especially for the first time. I hope you're willing to come back again. I know we're a little rough around the edges, but we do truly love and cherish your presence. It is a gift.
Anytime and every time, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. J Mike, do you agree with me? Do you agree with me at all? Or
undoubtedly
about Anthony Miller over there?
Listen, I think it's just going to be a lifelong Hatfields and McCoys with you and I, with Sutton and Miller.
I like that. I like that, though. I like that we can hate each other for something.
Correct, because we pretty much vibe on just about everything else except for this one thing. This one thing that you're wrong on. So to our guests, no, seriously, incredibly thankful that you guys did not turn me down and resurface my daddy issues that I have when we asked you to come on the show. So thank you guys for coming through. To everyone in the chat, thank you guys for showing love. Thank you guys for asking questions, for just the dope.
You
everything
keep us alive during the show, for real.
Thank you. To my mom, I love you. I'll see you soon, hopefully this weekend for Christmas, because you didn't come up for Christmas. Wow, I'm airing out all my family.
Shout out to J Mike's mom real quick.
Mama. To everyone who's checking us out in podcast form, even though you're missing us on the live YouTube medium to be able to watch us and listen and see all the wonderful things that the show has, we're thankful that you're checking us out on podcast form, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, The list goes on, even including, yes, Spotify. The Open Bar is on Spotify, so you can even check us out there. Even if you don't want to rate us or review us, totally okay. Share us with a friend. I'm sure that anyone would love to check us out and enjoy having some nonsense, talking some fun on a Tuesday night. We are back making Tuesdays what they need to be. 100% lituation filled, and it just flows off the tongue. I like it so much.
I know you do.
But I think we've hit everything. I'm on Twitter at jmikecheck, at jmiccheck. The show's handle is at the Open Bar FP, as in fake pigskin, and my main man, the best half of this duo, Gabe Gearing, is on Twitter at ffmanbun. Gabe, take us home.
I have to say one other thing. I've been meaning to ask this the whole time. Andy, coming back to you, my man. Do you have a disco ball in your room? Because your room has been changing colors the whole time, and I've just been tripping off of it for a while.
No, it's literally just the TV in the background.
Okay. As long as we can move on from that. Thank you for sharing that information.
I honestly wish I did have a disco ball because my response is lame as shit. But I
think it let a lot of us down. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I do have a ton of good stories from my time out west too. So I wish I had something like a disco ball. I've seen a lot in my time. So
I used to grow up collecting, like not collecting. I don't know. Like I went into you ever been to the mall before? Those things where that people used to go and shop at stores where they're all in one place.
Friday night after my mom would drop me off there.
Exactly. One of those where mom would drop you off. Oh man, J Mike, this is getting real.
The babysitter.
They have a store called Spencer's, and it was like kind of like dark and sometimes felt gothy, or I don't weird. I don't know. I'm not sure what Spencer's was or is to this day, if it exists still. I'm not sure, but I know that they had a bunch of lights, and they'd have like disco balls and neon lights, and I loved collecting all of those lights. And I did have a couple disco balls, so might bring the disco ball back to the old Open Bar. So thank you for the non-inspiration, Andy.
Can you bring the disco ball back from Mexico? That's really the question.
That's a good point.
I could pretty much at this point, if I've brought living things in.
Yeah,
pretty much bring anything I want.
Yep. And when he says living things, he means his fiance. He traveled across the with his fiance.
She survived.
NSA. She came with him. That is all that happened.
Yes, officer. Yes, officer. There are 16 bricks of cocaine in the trunk. I'm good. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. You're only allowed 15, son. I know. That's why I'm telling you I have 16. I want to
You
give
should have gave him one.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll give you one.
I got an extra ounce of coke.
The first mention of cocaine on the Open Bar. And
Nice.
that is where we will end things. My name's Gabe. My best friend on all of Twitter land is J Mike, and these are three other guys that happen to hang out with us. This has been absolutely a blast. I think he already shouted out my handle, so that's plenty. If you want an intro, I kind of do those sometimes. They're fun.
Bars.
J Mike and I are eventually going to put that stupid shirt on a website and give you guys an opportunity to buy it. The Wubba Lubba Chub Chub. We promise, or I promise. It's probably more my responsibility. I'm sorry, J Mike. I'll do it. But that's all I have to say is go check out all the things that all of us do. J Mike's guesting on all sorts of podcasts. He's the Dummy Blitz man. You might hear my voice rapping on some intros, whatever. We're out there, and so are all these guys. Everyone's out there, and we're all doing our thing in the fantasy football world, and it's beautiful, and it's lovely, and I love it. So put your drinks up, fellas, and give me a little cheers, because we're going to see y'all next Tuesday, right, J Mike? Is that right? Not
already booked yet again.
This is
full show.
People ask us if they want to. Can we come on the Open Bar?
Two out of three guests will not have been on the show before again. Like just all sorts of new folks, bringing them into the family. We're we're a part of their family. We're sharing cookout secrets. How you like your barbecue. I'm excited about this.
Tacos.
I like my barbecue in the trash where it belongs.
Wow.
That's my take on barbecue food.
Andy's wild.
I moved to North Carolina. Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to have the barbecue." Well, it's a barbecue for lunch one day with people from work, and I was like, "This just is disgusting. Like, I can't believe people are paying money for this."
What was bad about it?
Oh, it just wasn't good food. Like, give me a burger and fries or anything. Tacos over that.
Yeah. I mean, but
I find it, it's too.
but there for both of those things, you could have smoked food on, or smoked meat rather, on, you know, the bun, the shell. You could have both of those things. Is it the smoked meat?
Yeah, probably.
I thought you meant just like the act of eating barbecue in public, because I can kind of get on board with that. That's not something. It could be the best barbecue in the world, but I mean, you get the barbecue sauce all over the face. Everyone's just like putting their bones in the same place and stuff. Yeah, it's not something people should do in public.
Well, that's good to know.
Barbecue etiquette.
I'm kind of sick of this podcast, Jay Mike. I think I want to leave. Hey, come to Texas, fellas. We'll barbecue, right? There's a taco truck 2 miles from here. They throw a slab of brisket on top of it. Okay. The Holyfield, it's like $7.50. You won't be able to move for a couple hours, but boy, howdy, is it delicious. So, you know, just shut up. All right.
Which part of Texas?
What?
Which part of Texas?
Austin.
Oh, I was just in Austin, like in July.
Thanks for, you know.
Well, all right. I didn't know you were out there.
I think I was in Europe. It's all right.
Probably would have tried to take me to some barbecue place, and I would have gone up. So.
I might have tried the crossover though, because I think you might like the taco or the burger crossover. What do you think?
I don't know. We probably could have had too much to drink and stuck over to Mexico and done some wild shit over there too. That's actually a bad way to go into Mexico. You know, it's a little dangerous.
That's true. You don't want to go that way. You're right.
You live and you learn. So
yeah. One thing on my bucket list, and I'll close with this, is I want to go to Mexico and come back with a litter of puppies. That's on my bucket list. One thing that I wish I could do. All right, fellas, it's been a blast. We'll see y'all next week. It's going to be like 9:30 Eastern ish, and we'll be around for like 60 to 90 minutes ish. And it's going to be a good time. And J Mike, would you like to say this next word with me?
Would love to. Thank you.
Oh, okay. You ready?
Deuces.
Deuces.